Hello, everyone. Okay, so we are live. We've got comments from Alicia, Roger, and Katie already. Hello. That was fast. Okay, so wonderful. Okay, so does everyone want to introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Benzamora97. I have a YouTube channel.
And
I'm
channels?
an artist, and I'm also on Discord, mainly an admin for Headphones UK's work, if you will. George.
I'm George from Headphones UK. I run my YouTube channel of the same name.
I'm Luke. I am on George's channel and also have a help run a Discord channel of my own where at the moment we're going through all of Power Rangers. Big daunting task, but we're doing it.
Hell yeah. My name's Sean for a YouTube channel. It's Caretaker Wanted. It's a freaking smorgasbord of album reviews, video essays, memes, whatever the hell I want to make, it's there.
And I'm Enchanted Essays. I make film reviews and video essays. I've made multiple videos on Psychoville, which is the previous series that the following series that Risha Smith and Steve Pemberton from the League of Gentlemen did. And I've also done some live streams and a video essay that took up far too much time of my life on Inside Number 9. Which is also by Risha Smith and Steve Pemberton. And thank you guys for helping me with that. And let me think. I have done an interview with John Ed, who was the former head of BBC Online Comedy. I haven't finished editing the interview yet. It's over an hour long, so. It's probably going to be uploaded in the new year. I'm probably going to do 1 or 2 short videos this month and then upload that at some point in the new year. But so obviously that'll be of interest if you're a fan of the League. So let's start off with overall thoughts on the episode. Sean, this was your introduction to the League of Gentlemen as a whole, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I had no idea going in. Obviously I'm somewhat familiar with the material that you cover on your channel. Obviously as an American, we don't really get a whole lot of stuff over from Britain regarding these types of shows. So I didn't really know what to expect too much, but really I quite liked it. It in terms of a Christmas special, there was a lot of things that weren't so much Christmas, but that's not a criticism at all. I thought that was pretty intriguing. There was various things I saw throughout, whether it's funny moments, things that could perhaps be symbolism, or even some creepy or disturbing parts. For the symbolism parts, I know one of us joked very early on about the Bloody Mary statue and how he's having a drink, or she's having a drink. It's like, that's a literal Bloody Mary, or even there are a couple of shots with the Santa figure and how it's flickering. I kind of thought that was perhaps the joy of Christmas disappearing. I like even yeah, sorry, I'm not sure any of their names, sorry, but she runs the church, she's talking to her friend, and Denise.
Oh,
Bernice, thank you. Bernice is talking to her friend in the bathroom, and how it's very.
Oh no, wait, I thought you meant the vicar. You mean the one talking in the bathroom? That was Stella.
Okay, thank you, Stella. Yeah, like how it was very sort of constricted in there, and they're talking to each other between a wall. It was like a makeshift confession room. I like that. Even like this isn't symbolism, but more just things that I liked. The whole like anonymous crew, like with all the white masks.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty unique. It really wasn't something I was expecting right there. I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is something. So something's going on here for sure. And then they do that whole sort of voodoo doll ritual on the cowboy guy. He's dancing and like they put the doll on fire, then he's on fire, then they do a bunch of crazy stuff with it, he correlates it. But man, I loved it how like he was on fire, then they doused the doll in water, then like he's soaked in water. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Oh, I love that film.
Yeah, this scene where the sort of busboy's on fire, even though like he's not, it's just in his mind. So then Bill Murray ducks a bunch of water on him. It just totally reminded me of that. Then obviously you get to the priest part. It was actually kind of interesting with the whole when he's saying the word father, but it sounds like farter. I thought that was kind of clever. Here in America, it's like the most basic ass stuff when it comes to fart jokes. But here I was kind of like, yeah, it was actually a kind of like a decent layer to it right there.
Well, it was a joke on how he's speaking in what's known as Deutschlish, which is a mixture between German and English.
Oh, okay, right on. Thanks. And I kind of figured he was going to be a pervert, and it was pretty. I actually thought when he entered the bedroom, it was actually a pretty creepy and disturbing scene, and then it gets very suspenseful when the guy starts rummaging the room and looking for the hammer and stuff. I thought that was quite thrilling. I wasn't I kind of figured there might have been a vampire part, but wasn't expecting the choir voice and the wife to be that. And I kind of joked about it with there's this character, he's like in the furry bear suit, like the guardsman. And I'm just like, man, like any other movie, you would have scratched your head just like, what the fuck is going on here? But like from like what we've seen so far, I just thought it fit perfectly. There was like no eyebrows raised at all. It's kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe it was a reference to the guy in the bear suit from The Shining.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. If you read the book, that scene makes a lot more sense, right? Watch the movie, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's just having a good time with
Wait, that was
guy.
in the book?
Yeah, some guy, he's dressed up as a bear and stuff, or that dog barf creature, from Spaceballs, whatever the hell you want to call it. But the Mark Twain lookalike, I was riding on the bicycle inside the room and just like shooting down any means of transportation. I thought that was amusing, as well as just the goofy scenario of the curse. But like how they play about it so seriously, I just loved it. So yeah, my final thoughts. I really liked it.
Hello.
Okay, and Luke, had you seen? This was a first watch for you, but had you seen any?
I've known about League of Gentlemen for pretty much my whole life. It's just I've never actually sat down to watch it. It's one of those things where it's like you hear about it, but it's like, yeah, I'll get to it eventually, and then you never get to it. But so this was the first time for me, and yeah, I liked pretty much everything that Katie said. My only thing that I was like scratch my head out was the bear bit, because I was just like, what is this all about? But yeah, the things that I really did, like, I love the homages to like the whole horror vibe that it had going for it. So it like had references to like The Shining, Nosferatu, and the whole mask voodoo thing reminded me of the Hot Fuzzy, where it's the neighborhood watch, and it's like the great are good. I was waiting for a moment when they would do something like that, where it's
like I said, to me, it reminded me more of Eyes Wide Shut, because it's basically the same sort of mask, just less ornate and jeweled.
All right,
of course, there's sex.
I've just got to say, if I was Matthew and I was put in a room that small with that smaller bed, I'd be like, yeah, we're gonna have to have some questions here. You would think that would be the first thing that he would be like, why is the bed so small? I'm clearly not this size. Why?
Reece Shearsmith's lucky that he's the smallest of the cast. Imagine if it was Mark Gatiss on that bed.
But I'm just saying it like in the context of the story, you'd figure he would be questioning more about like, why am I in this clearly obvious children's room. What have you got planned for me? Nothing, Matthew. Nothing, my pretty. But yeah, the whole father farter joke that they are going, that reminded me of like the pussy joke from I Being Served.
I've not seen that, so I wouldn't know.
No, it where they say where because it's an old lady talking about her cat, but going like, "I want you to come. I want you to stroke my pussy."
Isn't that a filthy rich and cat flap joke?
I don't know, but I know it being from I Being Served.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, for a Christmas film, for a Christmas special, really took a different angle because it had Christmas themes, but wasn't really centered around Christmas. It's kind of like the whole debate of like, is Die Hard a Christmas film?
Well, to be fair, this is deliberately trying to be a sort of alternative Christmas special. It's like with Die Hard, the debate is whether it counts just because it happens to take place at Christmas, even though the movie itself was released in July. This is an actual advertised Christmas special.
All right, okay. But yeah, and I loved like we got like the variety of the stories. Like we got like the voodoo, the vampire, and like the I don't know what you would call the last one, the monkey
Cursed vet.
The cursed vet monkey does something with an elephant. Yeah,
with the monkey bollocks.
With the monkey bollocks. And I did like the kind of little twist at the end where the Vicar's past came back to haunt her, and it had kind of like a Wizard of Oz / Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, like, come with me, I've got to take you somewhere. Kind of angle. But yeah, it was, for my first time viewing, this was probably one of the funniest things I've seen in a while.
Oh, brilliant. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, this is actually the first League of Gentlemen thing I ever showed my dad. And then, and similarly, he'd heard of it and not got around to watching it. So, but yeah.
Out of everything the League of Gentlemen has done, this is probably the darkest, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. They do lean. There's always a horror influence in their work, but this sort of leans into them more because actually, I was just thinking I should get my PowerPoint up that I use in the first thing of my Psychoville in my Psychoville live stream in the first one. I did explain the history of the League of Gentlemen. Like, okay, before we talk about this TV show, let me explain the history of a whole other show. So guys, as you may have noticed, most of the cast, almost all of the characters were played by these three men. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting. I've been watching reactions, and I've seen a couple of reactions to League of Gentlemen on YouTube. And it takes people a while to realize, how many of them there are. And I think it's with Mark Gatiss, eventually you'll notice the nose. With Steve Pemberton, you'll notice the chin. With Reese, he doesn't have as many distinctive facial features.
No, he doesn't.
His face is distinctive.
I kind of see more like lips, the nose, and the chin. Definitely with the lips with the Bill lips, shall we say? Well, he certainly had quite a Bill lips with I think the German character he played, like in that special.
Oh, with her lip, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me think. Started off as doing theatre sketches. So it's those three and Jeremy Dyson, who's there. He makes multiple cameos in this, so I might spot them as we go through. But he's also the same height as Reece Shearsmith, so he is his double in one of the scenes, as well as just making cameos as background characters. But anyway, so yeah, they started out on stage. That's them winning a Perrier Award at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival for their sketch comedy. Then they went did radio. Only thing I haven't heard from them is yet. And then there was and then they moved to television. So series 1, basically it's a sketch show, but it's all set in one town called Royston Daisy. There's I'd say 2 sets of characters that do have a storyline in their sketches, but Benjamin and his relatives and
Tubbs and Edward.
Who are probably the most iconic characters in the show.
Yes.
So Benjamin, there's his interesting aunt and uncle. Harvey, you do see in the Victorian scene. Got messages here. Hello to Getro. Haven't seen you here before. Welcome. And Alicia Alvarado referencing the interview I was talking about earlier. I can't wait to see the interview. I know it's thank you. I'm going to edit out all of me being awkward, and it'll be great. So anyway, those are Tubbs and Edward, who are probably the most iconic characters of the show. As you can probably see why.
I've just seen how they're using the tape on the nose now, because it's just a standstill. How they must be pretty strong tape though.
Well, they didn't.
It's wig gauze in.
They didn't use tape for the show. They used tape for the live shows because obviously they couldn't afford to put that makeup on in between the takes. But yeah, for the show, it's very complex prosthetics, basically.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Just to sort of see like the ridge on the on the shaft of her nose there.
Yeah. Getro, Val, who's the aunt I showed you earlier, is seen in the scene. Which part of the episode is the head of the cult? That's very true, and it was they always hint in the original series that the Dentons are witches. It's pretty subtle, but it certainly doesn't feel like much of a leap. The weird cult in town, the all female cult. So that scene where I'll go back to this. That scene where let's see, where is it? Yeah, this scene with the cult here. These are all supposed to be female characters that they play in the show. So obviously, you don't usually see them all in a room together because they're all played by the same 3 guys. So all of them were doubles, except for obviously Reese was playing Stella, and then Mark was playing Val, and Steve was playing Pauline. Actually, I've got the script book, and that stuff it doesn't originally have in the script that they're all characters from the show. That scene plays out without any of the little references to the characters, or it's just like there's a room of women and they've all got masks on, which obviously does change the scene. But I do think with this is that the fact that you can see it as a standalone thing. There's stuff that like that where you won't realize obviously that they're all characters that other people know from the show, but you can still watch it. You know, you're still getting information about what's happening in the scene. It still progresses the plot. It just doesn't feel like, oh, that's a load of references. Red Fox Reviewer says, hello everyone. Hello Red Fox Reviewer. Getro says, it is confirmed in the commentary and general symbology in the house as in the anniversary special in the basement. You can see a book open, which if you squint could either be a toad or I believe the symbol from the witchcraft book King of Solomon. Ooh, that's interesting.
Nice little Easter egg.
But yeah, anyway, so series 2 of League of Gentlemen is similarly a sketch show, but there's a pandemic with
that predicts the future. Pandemic,
yes.
I love the fact like we can now say that which TV comedy predicts the future? League of Gentlemen. Why? Because of pandemic.
Well, even then, the pandemic was caused by an unidentified drug being accidentally introduced into the main food supply of the town. So
that's not really a pandemic. that's more of an epidemic, isn't it?
It's more of an epidemic.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, so yeah, there's that, and then there's and then some of the characters in the last series who are more just sketch characters have more established storylines, mainly Pauline, who I think is possibly the only character we see in the Victorian scene and in the cult scene, and so she was kind of a bit of a sort of a regular sketch character, and then they just kind of basically the thing is that she works as the teacher on like an unemployment course, and she's a really awful person, and she's based on a real she's based on the teacher that Reece Shearsmith had on his restart course. So
I also have
there's a real Pauline out there.
I have to say, because obviously I got made redundant a couple of months ago, so I've been having to go to the job center a lot. I had to go to the job center every day last week. My God, did I get flashbacks to the Pauline sketches?
Oh my God, yeah. This is the reason why no matter what, I will never go back to the job center. No matter what, I am adamant, like I'm not going back there because of just the crap that I had to deal with.
Yes, because like anybody who's had to go to a job center knows that the people that work there that are supposed to help you get a job, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They're basically hand puppets for the government to say what the government has told them to say to the job seekers, basically.
And I just want to get something. I just want to get something completely off my chest. A rant that I have literally been bottling up for years. Like they say, like we want to treat this like being in work. Okay, then. Well, if you're at work and you're 5 minutes late, work doesn't care as long as you do the 5 minutes that you were late for. You get there 5 minutes late at the job center, sanctioned right away, and yet the job center people can be as late as they want.
Yeah. It's kind of that's a pain in the ass as well.
I had to get that off. It feels so good to get that off my chest now.
So yeah, like
no, it's fine because tell the truth.
It does make the Pauline sketches a lot more relatable to watch now. I mean, granted, it's sort of like, to be fair, job centers don't necessarily function in the same way that they depict them in the show nowadays. They're a lot more just kind of punch in, say what you're doing, and then leave kind of situation. But it is still got that same condescending tone about it.
Yeah. Well, this is also a massive exaggeration as well. Like, I mean, yeah, we can relate to it, but also keep it. But also, like, because when I first saw this, actually, it was relatable. It also kind of hit a bit close to home as well, because I just came out of employment for a bit, and half the time this is all the stuff I was fearing every time I went to the job center, and I mean, thankfully none of them were quite as psychotic as this woman, thankfully. but like George says, there is still that sort of condescendingness, and a part of them is just like they're helping you out of obligation. They don't actually really want to help you, and realistically, the only thing that they're going to help you with is just giving you your doll. That's about it.
I noticed that Getro responded to my comment about the pandemic. It's like, wait, is it a drug? I thought it was because it was special meat mixed with regular meat.
Yeah, well, they never say what the special stuff is.
Yeah, they leave it deliberately vague. They leave it deliberately vague in the series, but there are many implications throughout the series, particularly with a few clues dotted in and out, that it's actually dried foreskins.
Yeah.
I wonder if Barbara's is in there too.
I was thinking of something completely different, but I think that is worse.
Although, to be fair, like Reece Shearsmith and Pemberton, when fans found out about this, they asked them about it, and we said we couldn't think of anything less unfunny than cannibalism. But they've done jokes about cannibalism in the future, so evidently it didn't stop them.
Yeah. Well, anyway, with Pauline, she so end of series 1, she loses her job. And then beginning of series 2, I'm like, all right, I'm curious to see how she gets her job back. She doesn't. What we see is this woman who has lost the only thing like she had on in her life. You just see like her life crumbling, and it's just really fascinating that they would have been so easy to go, okay, well, we'd be crazy to leave Pauline out of the job centre. Let's just do some more job centre sketches and get her back in there. But they don't do that, and I think that's so. Yeah, that's what I mean with like all these storylines developing, and then there's stuff like Charlie and Stella and Iris and Judy Levinson, and where they're like, where they are kind of just like sketch characters, and then in their last episodes, there's this like soap opera plot twist. So yeah, then they did this Christmas special, which is obviously not a sketch show; it's sort of anthology horror. And in series 3, it's kind of like an anthology series, but with little dramas about each of the characters. So one episode is about Charlie and Stella. One episode is about Pauline. So yeah, it's and then they all connect to this big event at the end. As they said, it's like 24 but northern, and so yeah, it's like this. It has this really interesting just progression as a program, and then they do this whole meta thing with the movie, which is totally insane. And then they and then with the and then they did some live shows. 2 of them are just kind of sketch comedy live shows, but they did also do one that was the first half is the characters trying to get ready to do a nativity play, and the second half is like a weird panto alternative universe of the show. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a stream of that at some point. But anyway, Getro said, I always thought it was half human and half cow meat and was weird offspring meat. Yeah, there is clues to point at that with the special stuff. But anyway, let's go to and the other one. Also correcting myself earlier, the book is called Lesser Key of Solomon, and the demon that is opened upon, I believe, is Baal, which I believe is on purpose, as Baal can become a toad. Ooh! Getting deep into the lore here. I like it.
Down the rabbit hole.
Anyway,
Or the toad hole.
Yeah, there you go.
Ben Samori, I haven't asked for your overall thoughts yet. So you're just started the show recently, didn't you? And
yeah, I only started the show recently, and let me just say I am so glad I watched this in order, because honestly, watching the show for the first time. Well, so far I've still not technically finished it. This is the latest I've got up to, but I will say I'm so glad I watched all the way through to get up to this, because everything in it works super well. This is probably my favorite League of Gentlemen episode period so far, because. Well, for one thing, on its own, it's a good collection of stories. My favorite ones are the last 2. Well, technically 3 if you want to count a little bit at the end. Because the first one. Okay, I'll start from each one. Like the first one, I thought was pretty good, though it was more like that was sort of more the horror element I got from it. Yeah, there was a bit of humor there, and I think the what's the name's pronunciation? What's it called? Deutschlich, as George called it. Yes. I thought that was kind of the only thing that I thought was super funny about it, whilst everything else was kind of first time watching it was pretty good, but now watching it again, it was okay, just sort of more run of the mill. But the real funny stuff starts when we get to when we get to like Chimneries. Chimneries, is that how you pronounce it? Chimnery?
Chinnery with an N.
Chimnery.
Yeah, Chinneries is my favorite one of the whole lot. Who, to be honest, but Chinnery is now officially my favorite character so far. Just because of all the sketches I've seen him do, and usually I don't usually like looking at cruelty to animals, but in this case I'll make a small exception. Just
they're not real animals, so
shockingly. Yeah, I know they're not real.
Yeah,
seriously, it's just it's like a John
alive.
Carpenter. It's like a John Carpenter sort of charm to them as well, and the timing, of course, is superb, and obviously, even the cameos as well of what's the name from the job center, Pauline. Which even those times I thought she'd fit right in those times, because I imagine they treat the unemployed even worse back then. But
the workhouses and everything.
Yeah, and of course Babs. It was always nice to see Babs, who is probably my second favorite character. Just because I know.
Well,
like I said earlier,
like I said when we were watching it, obviously the character of Babs it can be seen in a different context now because of how our society has progressed in terms of acceptance of transgender, roles and everything. But I don't care. Everything she says is hilarious.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement there. Like I don't think of her as a representation. I just think of her as Babs, and she herself is just funny as a character, and just all the lines, just honestly, and also she's kind of like we were saying earlier, she's kind of the only sane character. Well, out of the locals in Rio Vesi, really, they're not like secret serial killers. They're not like
she's the only semi-decent person.
The only one you can approach, without feeling without feeling scared in case she might stab or turn you into a toad. I don't know, but but yeah, my opinion, best of the lot so far, and all the callbacks to the previous episodes all fitted really nicely. So far as but it's just one of those cases where I'm really glad I watched from the beginning right up to here because it was worth it. 9 out of 10.
Yeah. No, it is a very good episode. Like I say, it's probably the darkest of anything that they've ever done for the League of Gentlemen, at least as a standalone episode. There's probably one or two sketches that you could point to and say that's a little bit darker. Like the last shot of the second episode of Series 2, where they show the ice cream man who's died from a chronic nosebleed, and he's just there going like that.
But wait, George. Was it the little baby's ice cream man?
Oh no! Don't bring him up! Oh no!
Because if it was, then I think that's a blessing in disguise.
I've just thought of a back of a memory of like my local ice cream van around here, and you know what? His voice was exactly like Barbara's. I remember, like, all right, son. Want to see some monkey blood on that, along with a flake? Jeez.
For context for the Americans, monkey blood is slang term for strawberry sauce.
Yeah, strawberry sauce, by the way. That's what it was.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up is just like we were talking about, like the cocktails in this. What was the one called?
Screaming orgasms.
Screaming orgasm, and then Ben said it was not as bad as Sex on the Beach. No, I've got an even badder cocktail. This is an actual cocktail in Italy because I've been to Italy and I saw this. It's called Sweet Fuck. That is literally what it's called.
Well, there is a drink called a fuzzy navel, and I've heard like there's a dirtier version of the drink that's called the hairy clitoris.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah. So
what are you going to say, like the hairy anus?
No.
But yeah, I didn't want to bring it up because I wanted to save it for the discussion. But yeah, I was like thinking like, no, Sweet Fuck is worse than Sex on the Beach.
Yeah.
Watch YouTube age restrict this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Monetarization.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I get censored again. And this time not for spoilers.
Getro says, continuing the conversation from earlier. Also, Reese and Steve have been known to love demonology and folklore, which may back up my claim. Indeed, they do. My personal fave for the episode is the cult in town and the horror and the witchcraft themes, which are spot on. Yeah, I do think that's. I don't know if I have a favorite section of the episode. Actually, I have been reading the script book. I haven't read all the way through it, but I have read that. I have read this episode all the way through, and I think it was originally the Herlip and the German one, and the first one, the cults one with the line dancing. Those were originally the other way around, which I think it makes far more sense for them to be the way around they are in the show, because there's the progression backwards through time. There's sort of getting further into the supernatural, and but yeah, I'm sure more things will come to me. I mean, there's minor things like it was originally a kitten instead of a bunny rabbits that Chinnery's treating the Chinnery's ancestor is treating in the flashback, and
I can understand why they switched to a rabbit. Cats, speaking from a person who's worked with animals in terms of filming them, cats are notoriously difficult to get them to do what you want. But rabbits are slightly easier to train. So, and if you wanted something that was cute and fluffy and seemed very innocent, because a dog can't quite get that same panache about it. So I think a rabbit was a good call.
Yeah,
plus smaller, more delicate as well. So
exactly,
more delicate.
yes.
Yeah. So when it shows like these surgical scenes, it's more of an impact. While 1 minute he's really good, and the next minute, boom, there goes the eye, and then goes the head.
Yeah, and then we have the decapitated parrot head, which you have to do. You have to do better replace it then from Monty Python.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was literally this is a dead parrot.
Yeah, it has ceased to be. It has died and gone to meet its maker.
But one thing about this episode that I really want to do now is because in the last bit when they were talking about the whole guy and the like prophet guy type of character, and it just kept on bringing up Roger, and Roger wanted his revenge. I really now want a compilation of just Roger's bits from Dick and Dom with that clip playing over it.
What you mean with the thing? What you mean with the shadow puppets? With the monkey?
Yeah, no. It's just like him going, Roger wants his revenge, and then it just cuts to Roger from Dick and Dom just beating them up.
Oh dear! And then have their balls set on fire.
No, that's no.
Because that's legitimately what was going through my mind during that bit of just like because of your recent Dick and Dom re-review, George, and just bringing up Roger. I was just there like thinking, Roger!
Yeah, boy.
By the way, I watched an episode of Dick and Dom last night. I thought, oh, it's 90 minutes. I'll just watch a little bit of it. Watch the whole thing. I'm just like, this is. I remembered it being, oh, it's this crazy show. They shout bogies. I didn't like realize that there was like just the crew laughing in the background. It's just
it's one of those things
what is going on.
like there's a sense of cynicism and self-awareness to what they're doing, particularly in how so much stuff went wrong. That does make it entertaining as much on an adult level as it does on a kid level.
Yeah. Who was it that said it was like a British version of Terrence and Phillip?
It was someone in the comments.
I forget what the name of the commenter was. Yeah, I forget what the name of the commenter was, but yeah, they said on my video they remind me of a British version of Terrence and Phillip from South Park, which I think is actually pretty spot on the money, to be honest.
And then I said in the chat, only with much less swearing. And then you mentioned about like wasn't there like one part where they actually did swear?
So in the episode, the infamous episode where Dom wears that shirt that says "Morning Wood" on it. When they're doing the pants dance near the end of the episode, he was dressed as Jamie Oliver the Naked Chef, which was basically just a Jamie Oliver wig and a little apron on and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think off screen, this crew were like mocking him because he was walking around with his shirt off. So during the pants dance, when the music's going crazy, I swear I hear Dom yelling, "Fuck you!"
Okay. Someone needs to upload that episode so that we can actually go back and actually look at that.
Just live stream it. Just live stream it.
It's been uploaded multiple times. D&D and the Bungalows uploaded it. BRD 3000 or whatever his name is has uploaded it.
Okay.
So it is on there. You can find it.
Okay.
I'm checking that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, AshTube, lovely for you to join us. Says, haven't heard of Dick and Dom in years. Yeah, they actually did another live tour, another live tour. I think it's their only live tour. And George went, didn't you, George?
Yes, I went to go and see it. Yeah. That footage you see in the review of the live show was actually recorded by me on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it was playing near my house as well, and I wanted to go and see it, but then I was like, well, I've got too much going on in my life at the moment. I think
there was one in Portsmouth at the time. Not Portsmouth, Manchester is what I meant to say. I went to go and see mine in Portsmouth.
Yeah, and I wanted to go and see it, but but on the night, because I was working the night, and I was just like, oh, I'm too tired. I was literally as soon as I got home, I was passed out.
Well, I had a meeting in the morning for my company I was working with at the time in Brighton, so I went from Brighton all the way to Portsmouth.
Oh wow.
And the,
Sure,
weird,
it was worth it, though.
and the worst part about it is because me and my friend Ben, we booked the tickets like in a year in advance, and obviously there was like COVID, so they had to push it back and everything. But we found out just a little bit afterwards that the day after the one in Portsmouth, there was one in Brighton. It's like, oh, well, why couldn't we have been made aware of that but a bit earlier? Because that would have been easier to go to.
Yeah, and like I said in my comment on the Discord, it was probably for the best that I did not go on that show, because when I was younger, I was like the most socially awkward, introverted kid. I would have been like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Or maybe you would have overreacted and been like Raja, you're just acting up because you're shy.
I probably that would probably have been the case.
Oh dear.
Anyway, Getro says, when I worked on my video on Val, I asked a few different practicing witches on the power of witchcraft, and the whole idea of if you do something bad will come back to you is correct in witchcraft.
Oh, okay.
And in reference to the script book, they said the script book seemed all over the place. The editor clearly sorted things about the show to make it more fluid, introducing the Denton twins. Yeah, there was, if you listen to the commentary of series 1, there was a lot of stuff that was originally supposed to be in other episodes. I think it's probably the one with most shelved film sketches. So Iris and Mrs. Levinson, that was they only appeared in one episode of series 1, but more material with them as films. And same with Charlie and Stella, they had one other sketch, but they only appeared once in series 1. Which is a shame because both of them are great characters. And so anyway, but yeah, you hear in the commentary it's like, oh, this was originally supposed to lead into the sketch in this episode, like the bit with the talking post box, that was originally supposed to be the end of series 1, and you can see Benjamin and Mickey in the background where Benjamin's waiting for his friend from episode 1. They had to move that to episode 6. Anyway.
Also, can we just briefly talk about the Postman Pat mask?
Well, in the script, it was a Donald Duck mask, but they weren't allowed to use that. There is a picture in the script book where they tried on Tinky Winky masks. So I think they were told they had to use BBC characters.
Oh my
There
god!
we go.
Yeah, there we go. Like, it just, this image, it's like, anybody who's seen Postman Pat and just looking at this, you cannot not laugh at this. It's just, it's the most ridiculous thing ever.
I've got a question though for Caretaker Wanted. Have you heard of Postman Pat for chance? Because I don't know how popular Postman Pat is in America.
I think it's got some crossover appeal. I've heard some Americans have heard of it.
Me personally, no, I've never heard of this.
Really?
Okay.
Well, it's like one of the most sort of basic, kind of laid-back kid shows that we've had, but it's been going for a surprisingly long time. It's been going since the 80s.
Yeah, it's about this, the whole. To be honest, it's a really simple story about a country postman and driving around delivering the post, and has a pet cat. Oddly,
a black and white cat called Jess. But yeah, but the theme song is just so catchy as well. But yeah, it's one of the most laid back things ever. It's harmless and
very
it's just
docile, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got like a sort of Winnie the Pooh fart. It's kind of like sort of Winnie the Pooh sort of charm to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's laid back. It's nothing crazy, and it knows what it is. And it's we've got a lot of us are growing up with it as well.
Yeah,
so
and
it's just one of those.
It's funny. It's funny that you bring up Winnie the Pooh there, because I don't think anybody who grew up with Postman Pat really disliked him. I mean, he's like one of the most lovable guys ever. Just going about his day doing what he wants, doing his job, and trying to help out his community.
Yeah, he's
Nice.
he's like, you can't hate the guy. He's just pure. He's just innocent, an innocent sort of show, an innocent character, which a lot of people have made rude dubs with him.
A lot of very rude adult jokes of Postman Pat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because
made-
it's not it. Let's make him hardcore.
Made
Because
it
he
not
already
so-
is dark.
Made in no small part to what Russell Howard did on one of his shows, where he just showed a clip of Postman Pat stuck in a tree and the farmer trying to get him out.
Come
And it
on,
looked like
man.
the
Let's be
most.
having you.
That's not even a joke. That's actually something that
Yeah,
happened.
actual
In the
fact.
series.
I know, but he had to bring it up and just like, we don't want to think about that moment.
The worst part is he has like a split in his pants as well, and it just made things even more worse. And I'm like, Alf, you filthy beggar. And also,
Getcho says, I preferred the use of Postman Pat. Yeah, I think I agree. It just makes me laugh every time.
Yeah,
I think of course it's a show about country life, and Royston basically being a country town. I suppose that makes sense. They said Postman Pat is amazing. Anything that studio makes is amazing. I'm not sure which studio did Postman Pat. Oh, if it's just
it was
obviously
Ivor
BBC,
Wood
but I don't know if
Productions,
it's
and then later Cosgrove Hall did it.
yeah, because I think, because I know the original creator of Postman Pat was also the creator of Rosie and Jim as well, who...
That's right, John Cunliffe.
Yeah, who did Rosie and Jim because he was pissed off about not having control of Postman Pat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
If anyone... the bearded guy, by the way, from Rosie and Jim, because, I think that's what most people remember, but he wrote Postman Pat, and I think it's weird because I remember him just saying in interviews of how apparently most of them, when he did the first episode, they're amazed at pretty much how they adapted his stories, pretty spot on. And then so hearing that is actually quite interesting, Luke.
Getcho says, I mean, Woodland Studios. They made the old Paddington and the Magic Roundabout. I'm pretty sure. I think Magic Roundabout was French originally, though. I think.
Yeah, it was.
It was, but Ivor Wood did work on it as well. In fact, I think Ivor Wood actually was the French voice for Dougal. I think because they wanted, because Dougal was always supposed to be a British character, like a snobby, miserable British character. So a regular British character, basically.
Yeah.
That reminds me, we've got to do at some point like a watch of the Magic Roundabout film and the Dougal US version, and just compare and contrast.
That'd be interesting. Anyway, or same creative mind. Yeah, that sounds like that was what it was. Alicia Alvarado says, I know that show. 9 seasons running from 1981 to 2017.
Yeah, that's right. That's Postman Pat. And also a shitty movie.
Actually, I don't mind the Postman Pat film.
Oh, I didn't like it.
It was certainly better than some of the other schlock that have come out recently.
Yeah,
that's the one where he basically goes on the X Factor and there's a robot Postman Pat or something.
Yeah,
I saw Mark Kermo's review.
And the CGI is awful. I'm sorry, but I know it's difficult.
Ben.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about awful CGI, there's 3 words: Bob the Builder.
Good point. But this is a good point. Good point. Yeah, good point. But I still think Postman Pat the movie is a close second. Just saying.
No.
I'm talking as a CG artist myself. I am actually a CG artist, and I can tell you now, I could do better. No, I'm kidding. But the film. I think it was just. It was not the worst film in the world, but it's cheap. It's a cheap film, and you can tell there's a lot of. It's one of those cheap films. There's so many references, and it's. I guess it's also a case of like a bit of nostalgia mixed in with just updating with everything, but I don't know. Postman Pat film like this, the old show is pretty good. Don't recommend the film though. There's nothing to do with it, in my opinion. Anyway, back to League of Gentlemen.
Yeah. So
maybe we should change the scene
screenshot.
Yeah, so we're not distracted by Pat.
Well, another thing that's different in the script that's quite a small change but quite an interesting one is the introduction of when Matthew appears. He's that voiceover where he says he's 19 wasn't originally in the thing, and I think it serves like two purposes. I think first of all, it helps the transition, so you go, oh, this is the person who is narrating the story, the old man in the church, and because obviously it's not played by the same actor because Reece Shearsmith's busy playing Bernice. And but I think it's partially to make this whole bit less creepy because who her lip is pursuing in series 2, they never say his age, but and the actor's almost certainly in his 20s, but he is like implied to be 16. But I think I wonder if they thought of obviously make him, it'd be less creepy if they made him 19.
Just like the whole it's just like the whole Alex Delarge thing again, you know, where a lot of people have no idea whether or not he's 15 or 19.
Well, he definitely doesn't look 15 in the movie. That's for
no,
sure.
he doesn't. No, he certainly does not. I know he's 15 in the book, but yeah, in the movie, he's a lot older.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, it could partially just be because they didn't think Reece Shearsmith would pass for younger than 19. But I don't know. So yeah, maybe that's it, or maybe it's to be to change the tone of it, or you know, maybe all of the above. And I think that what they do with dark humor is, you know, before I watched League of Gentlemen and their other stuff, I always considered myself someone who didn't like dark humor. And I think what I realized is I like it when it's done well. I think it's far too easily people do something dark, and then if people don't like it, then they blame the people for it not being their taste.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, it's just you're just too sensitive, you just can't handle it. And I think it's there's shows of people like, no, you can do it if you're good at it. And I
not rely on shock humor all the time as well, because that's a big trap that most people fall into when it comes to like black comedy.
I think it helps the fact that they often do stuff that they're big fans of horror, and they do often do stuff that is supposed to be like genuinely unsettling. They know how to shock, they know how to be funny, they know how to do shock humor. They don't get those things mixed up. And there's stuff like, can you listen to the commentaries? They're like there's a couple of sketches where they rephrased things that were in the live show, and they changed it due to audience response to make it stuff more implied. Say it, but because it might get the video demonetized. But in doing that, it did make it funnier because it did change the tone. It made it less uncomfortable. So yeah, that they are very aware that there is a line. They're not just like, yeah, we can do whatever we want, and you know, you're a wimp if you don't find us funny. So yeah, that's something, you know, not to knock other people doing dark humor, but I think they are the best at it. And her lip is always the most near the knuckle out of all the stuff they've done for me, and it's always like, it's always uncomfortable enough that I consider fast forwarding it, but it's funny enough that I never do. So yeah, I think so yeah, I think that's interesting. And also talking about sort of creepiest moments in all of League of Gentlemen is her lip at the end of series 2, I think. I won't spoil it, but if anyone hasn't seen it, but yeah. Go out with you. Nice to see you again. Go out with you says, agree. They don't set out to shock. They just do their own thing based on their own humor and influences. Yeah, yeah. They are. Yeah, they're certainly. I think it's like the. I think what's interesting about them is that they've got these everyday observations, and pretty much everyone in League of Gentlemen is based on a real character.
Yes.
Her lip isn't. Her lip is based on them putting tape on their face and then coming up with characters around that.
Yeah.
But Tubbs and Edward is a real based on a real person, or Tubbs is at least. Bernice based on a real person, based on a celebrity agony aunt of the time. So she's usually doing agony aunt sketches. but they weren't sure how to. They ended up changing her to a priest to incorporate her into the TV series. And let me think what else. Obviously, like I said, Pauline. So they're often either based on real people they've seen on television, so in documentaries and things, and but a lot of them just like real people they've met. And I think it's a lot of comedy is obviously based on observation, but I think it's the way they sort of twist it into this strange thing, or they add this like sudden drama to it, like they do with Charlie and Stella, that makes it so unique. Getro says, I'm a massive fan of the show, but even I don't like it all of the show. Yeah, I think that goes for most fans of League of Gentlemen. I think it's more consistently funny than the Mighty Boosh, and I do enjoy the Mighty Boosh. But yeah.
Like with my point of view between League of Gentlemen and Mighty Boosh, because the comparison between the two is pretty unavoidable. Boosh, you watch more for the characters, because the consistent characters are very endearing and fun to watch. With League of Gentlemen, it's definitely more for the jokes and the tone, because I have to admit, like, there's never been a joke in the Mighty Boosh that's made me like laugh really out loud, like we didn't burn him at the end of the first episode of League of Gentlemen. But yeah, so it's like it depends on what you're looking for, really. At the very least, with the Mighty Boosh, because of its tone, I can watch it at any time, no matter what. League of Gentlemen, I have to be in the right state of mind.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from, just because I binge watched the entire Mighty Boosh before watching League of Gentlemen. You know, but I thought it was more fun to watch than funny, if that makes sense. Like the humor isn't like super crazy, with one or two exceptions. It's more of a thing you watch because it's crazy, it's surreal, but it's just for a fun time. And if you're sort of into like music as well, it's also it's a perfect show to watch with friends, in my opinion, and in my case, a brother. You know, just watching it and just chilling out. Whilst League of Gentlemen, on the other hand, is to me like, imagine if you just took it's basically like Psychoville meets Little Britain. You know, like it's pure comedy. It's dark. It's unforgiving. You know, but similar to George, I still have to be in the right state of mind for it, and also I cannot imagine me watching this with other people. I mean, apart from people who are fans of the show, of course, but like other family members and whatnot. You know, so yeah, League of Gentlemen is you go for the laughs, whilst Mighty Boosh you go for the for just a nice chill time, basically.
Yeah.
Getro also says, I also think it's important about how you take the characters. Like they do expand the characters from 2D stereotypes and make them into real living people. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think a lot of sketch shows play caricatures and they play characters. I mean, obviously, especially by series 3, they feel like proper fleshed out characters. But yeah, there's something about this probably sounds pretentious, but like the complexity of the performances of characters like Jeff, particularly, or Ollie Plimsolls. There's this deep sadness to Ollie Plimsolls. Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Go Out With You. Actually, I think Go Out With You is his this user's handle, and their channel name is Not Now Silent Singer. Which is brilliant. I haven't seen Boosh in years, and I think it is more surreal, whereas League of Gentlemen is more dark comedy horror, but a lot more real, if that makes sense.
It's sort of like Mighty Boosh, like in the types of humor they use are very different, but they do feel very similar in that they both feel like they're creating their own world, and it's very creative.
Yeah, it feels like you're escaping into something, and even if you probably wouldn't want to go to Royston Vasey, it does feel like it does feel there is a weirdly cozy thing about watching it sometimes. But I really mean, like you said, most characters are based on real life, and the town has such a grim quality to it. Yeah, I feel like obviously it's a very northern show, but there is something kind of universal about it. You know, it's a bit about sort of countryside in general, and just the I feel like we've all been to a place like Royston Vasey.
Yeah.
I definitely have. You know, like, in fact, in my opinion, you know, when I first watched bit of Psychoville and Luger Gentleman, there's only one thing I was thinking of. This is either set somewhere near Middlesbrough or Hull, and everything there, and everything I see in it, I'm just like, yeah, this is surprisingly spot on.
Well, two
Just-
of the both Stella in League of Gentlemen and Maureen from Psychoville have Hull accents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which I think is
Definitely.
based on Reese based on his mother's accent.
okay.
So because Reese Shearsmith himself is from Hull, and so yeah, George, I don't think I've asked for your overall thoughts on the show, but I think you've certainly shared quite a lot of them by now.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a good episode, and I just generally like League of Gentlemen. But like I said, it's one of those things that I have to watch in the right kind of mindset.
Yeah, I don't feel that as much, but at the same time, if I'm more think I'm most in the mood for is the Panto, which definitely it doesn't have a horror tone at all. It has like some dark stuff in it, but for the most part, it doesn't have the tone in general is much lighter, and
Yes.
so yeah, that's something I watch more regularly. Oh, and Go Out to Do has noticed Stella's surname is Hull. Oh yeah, I've forgotten that.
Stella Hull.
Yeah, Stella and Charlie Hull, and but yeah, again, those were based on real people as well. They Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton just went out into a restaurant and just started people watching, and that scene they have in series 1 where they're in the restaurant and they just sat there just like in silence looking at each other hatefully, and the waiter goes in and they go, Luigi. But that was real interactions. I think they were watching multiple people have that sort of interaction. But yeah, they like I said, I think they do complex characters, and it's weird. You've got characters like Papa Lazarou who are like these such weird characters, and
and another
Tubbs
character,
and Edward who were implied to be at some stage they're well, I say at some stage, I can't remember if they're actually ever implied to be hundreds of years old in the show, but I think it's certainly an in-joke, and the local book is canon, so, and that has their wedding day, which is made to look like it's from the 1600s or something, or older, like the medieval times. But anyway, but most of the characters in the show aren't that bizarre. It's just like married couple that hate each other, guy who can't tell a joke, and yeah,
kind of relatable, basically.
Yeah, and it's weird that it's this combination of characters, and it's strange because it somehow manages to feel like it's that there's still a sense of location there, which it would be like impossible. It's hard to imagine that working, all that, like this weird supernatural stuff, and also these just very ordinary characters. Like Ollie Plimsoll's doing his community theatre in the homeless shelter during a pandemic.
Yeah.
But Ollie Plimsolls is still Ollie Plimsolls. Like, excuse me, can you cough outside, please? And
said everyone in 2020.
Yeah. What do you guys think of like the sort of the plot twists in the show? So in the first one, there's the plot twist of how much the price that Stella has to pay for the line dancing, and wherever that was, and then with with the next story, there's the fact that it wasn't her lip who was the vampire; it was the choir boys. Then
Okay, going back to the vampire with the choir boys. The wife's vampire teeth, like that cannot be practical one bit.
Well, that's the kind of teeth
They
that that's the kind of teeth that they have in Nosferatu, where it's
Really?
two front incisors. Yeah, because the idea in Nosferatu, they wanted to make.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they wanted to make Count Orlok, as they call it in there, or Count Dracula, if you want to be accurate.
Yeah.
They wanted to make him look more like if a bat was more human-like, rather than
Okay.
A man bat, like
a man bat, basically. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, I just find it like really like goofy. Like, yeah, I'm gonna suck your blood. I'm sorry, what? I said I'm gonna suck. I can't hear you.
me.
That's why Nosferatu was
suck your blood.
and that's why Nosferatu was a silent film.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Good one.
Although there was the remake.
Nosferatu.
There was the remake in the 70s.
Oh,
yeah,
I
that
know
was-
about
I
that.
heard there was a remake of that. I still haven't
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
Nosferatu.
Also as well, that prosthetic like must be a pain to actually be in.
Probably,
teeth,
yeah.
Yeah.
Tape his ears as well, just utilizing that glorious coat.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice his ears until now.
Yeah.
And then the plot twist of them tricking Chinnery into touching the monkey's
Bollocks.
parts.
Yeah.
And then of course we've got the final plot twist at the end that Bernice's mother was kidnapped by Papa Lazarou. So what do you guys think of the plot twists in the show?
I can easily say they got better the better further on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've just got to say, because I said this when we were watching it, like the Santa plot twist, it very much looks like that guy who looks like a gimp from Caves of Androsani in Doctor Who.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the twist wise didn't like for the most part I didn't see a lot of them coming. Like the vampire one I sort of saw coming a tiny bit, but that's probably just because I was already kind of trying to be inquisitive with plot twists with these types of shows. The same with the first one with the lime dancing husband who gets himself gets more like his wife's lover gets the axe. You know, I kind of saw that coming, given it was a cult thing and it was effectively like selling to the devil. So that one was a bit more. But to be honest, my favorite one is got to be the last one with Papa. How do you say his name?
Papa Lazarou.
Papa Lazarou. That one, I was laughing, but also kind of like I should have figured that one out by now.
Yeah, you really.
know,
Because I kind of was thinking like this is all going to come back to bite her in the arse. Pun very much intended. Given we had the vampire one right before this.
Not to mention all the callbacks this special has had. I was kind of thinking, yeah, come on, they've done a Christmas special. They've got to have Papa Lara. Oh, I'm not even going to pronounce it. I'll get it right. I'll get it right.
Is Papa Lazarou played by Mark Gatiss?
No, he's played by Reece Shearsmith.
No, all right. Because if he was played by Mark Gatiss, then you could very easily say Papa Lazarus. I mean Lazarou, because Mark Gatiss was
Lazarou and Doctor Who.
Possibly. And actually, what's funny is that Papa Lazarou is based off of a real person. He's based off of Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton's former landlord, who was a Greek guy.
What, really? I thought he was based off like that the Black Minstrel show.
That's the way he looks, but the way he talks is based off of Peter Papalazarou, their old landlord, who was a Greek guy. And every time he'd come to the door, if Reece was there, he'd go, "I want to speak to Steve. Steve.
You're my tenant now."
And apparently he would say things like, so like Papa Lazarou has his other catchphrase as like, "I got some pegs belonging to you." Apparently Peter Papa Lazarou would say the same thing, but it was vacuum instead of pegs.
Oh my god! Now I've just got this. Now I've just got this mental image of just them being like, "We're gonna lock ourselves in our room until you stop talking like that."
Okay, when you mentioned the Caves of Androzani, I'm just thinking, you're my Tambo now. And I'll be honest, I just did that because I want an excuse. He's actually a really fun character to voice. Let's be real. He's a really fun character to voice.
Yeah. So this is just a saga now. That was apparently something the landlord used to
that's
say
also
as well.
something he apparently used to say. It's like any time when Reese would try and get Papa Lazarus to talk to him, but he would refuse and just want to speak to Steve, he would just go, "This is just a saga now."
Yeah. Getro says his curly hair was taken from Jerry Dyson's hair. I'm pretty sure. Jeremy Dyson being the other writer.
Yes, I think it was. Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know if I'll be able to find the shot, but in the line dancing scene, a Reese character called I think it's Mike King, who's the radio show host that was seen briefly in series 2. He's that's Jeremy Dyson playing him there as Reese's double, which I'm guessing is why he's wearing sunglasses indoors. And then he's also he also makes an appearance as a medical student in this one towards the beginning, the one who breaks his watch. Let's see, we probably won't be able to find it because there's only one shot of him, but yeah, it's like in the middle of the operation. There he is. There's Jeremy Dyson.
Hey.
You can sort of see, I think he's got longer hair there. But yeah, there's a picture of him in the script book in costume as Reese's character Jeff, and did make me think of, Mom, can we have Jeff Tips? No, we've got Jeff Tips at home. So yeah. But yeah, he does dub. He has a. I know he's doubles with Benjamin in the bit in the when Benjamin escapes in series 2. He's a double for Benjamin, Reese's Benjamin, and but they IS Go Out With You has said Jeremy Dyson often acted as Reese's double as they are the same build / height. For example, as Benjamin at the start of series 2. Yeah, as Reese wasn't there for all of the filming, I'm pretty sure. That's interesting. But yeah, they don't often do characters crossing paths. They mostly do that in the movie, and it is really impressive when they do that in the movie, considering there was a low budget film that was mostly shot in Ireland for tax reasons. And the special effects are from 2006, I think. The special effects hold up so well in the movie. It's unreal. Getro says for the opening of series 2, I mean, in terms of Reese not being there. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. But anyway. So actually, have any of you guys heard of the short film they made in their 20s called Highgate House of Horror?
No, I haven't heard of it.
No, it's I think it was only released as a special feature on like the Japanese DVD release of the Christmas special. And it's like an anthology horror series that they've made on like a little video camera in the 90s. It's like a comedy horror anthology, all filmed in this house. Their house, and it's very charming. It's like if you've ever seen that student film Edgar Wright made in Wells that you can see on the Hot Fuzz special features, it's very much like that. It's just like it's not very good, but it's very charming. And
did you show that in your the last Psycho Bill?
In my Inside Number 9 video, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Oh, there. Okay,
where Reese is chopping up the body in the bath.
Yeah, I was like, this sounds kind of familiar.
but yeah, Jeremy Dyson does act in that, and I did hear a clip of an interview recently. LM number 9, who is posts compilations, featured it in a Reshares with compilations recently, and they're in an interview, Jeremy Dyson was saying, "Oh yeah, so in the end, I said I wasn't gonna, act in stuff anymore. I realized it wasn't for me." And the interviewer said, "Would you ever try and sneak back in?" And Reese said, "We wouldn't let him." But yeah, it's but yeah, it is fun to watch, even if it does feel quite long, and for 20 minutes, and but you're like, oh, it just feels like a student film. It's like, oh, and they became this great thing. Who knew?
First time YouTuber.
It does have that energy of just like these young guys who are making something. I mean, it makes you think, if if a lot of
if it worked for them, it worked for you. Like,
no, I was just thinking, I think with maybe with YouTube comedy, maybe some people are going to be much better at some point, but they're just posting like their earlier stuff. I think we're just seeing first drafts of people's stuff. But anyway, I'm waffling. So yeah, I think we've pretty much covered everything. I don't think like I said, that there are more minor things in the script, but what I didn't say is, did you guys know that the Chinnery story of this episode was originally a story written for the local book? In fact, if you get the on the DVD as a special feature, you can see Mark Gatiss reading it in character as a sort of Jackanory parody. So they'd written it as a short story for the book, and it is in the local book, which is like leaflets and pamphlets from the characters. So there's a Her Lip pink pamphlet on how to speak English, and there's a and there's Charlie and Stella's holiday pictures, and so yeah, it's got all these little things, and one of them is this story about Chinnery's ancestor, and I don't think they were originally planning on having it in here, but at some stage they're like, hey, why don't we use the Chinnery story? And it does play out a bit differently. I can't remember exactly why, because I got the first read it a while ago, but yeah, it's interesting that it originally started out in that. Anyway, so should we finish it here, because I think we've probably covered everything.
Yeah.
This will end up being a feature length live stream. I'll go out with you. Says the book is fantastic. It's really not just a book based on the show. It's a companion full of brilliant stuff. Yeah, actually, that's how I describe it. Definitely, it's an expansion of the universe of the League of Gentlemen, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's it's out of print, I think, but we've got another one here from Getro. Have you guys read the book the League of Gentlemen's Book of Precious Things? I don't mean the scrapbook. I haven't, but I have seen it while I've been looking for stuff online, because the copies I have of the script book and the local book are both secondhand. I'm not sure. I think it's of is it that one where they talk about stuff that inspired them or something? I'm not sure. I don't really know much about it.
Sounds like a prop. Is it like a prop book? Like just lists all like the famous props they had in the show or something like that?
No, it is an actual book. I've seen it for sale on I don't think it was on World of Books, but on eBay or something. But I really want to get the unofficial quiz book. That looks like it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, let's leave it there. So if everyone wants to comment from Getro, yeah, but it has all sorts supposedly and poets and poems from characters, but less structure and stuff. Oh, that's interesting. I'll seek that out then, I think. Okay, so if everyone wants to go ahead and plug their channels and things.
Yeah, so check out Headphones UK on YouTube.
Yeah, and check out the channel that I mainly do a podcast with, Control Chaos Studios.
Oh, nice. If you want anything from album reviews to video essays to whatever floats your boat, check out Caretaker Wanted.
And if you'd like to see some nice little VFX or little animations, check out my channel at Benzamori97 on YouTube.
Nice.
Brilliant. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank everyone for watching. Getro said they just ordered their copy of the books that they were talking about. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Definitely comment back on this video when when you get it, and I'll see if I can get it as well. So anyway, thank you very much, guys. To everyone here and everyone watching, lovely to see you all. And at some point, I'm going to do the panto, but that is like 90 minutes, and it is. I think it has more in jokes, so I wouldn't recommend it as like a first watch for anyone. So, but yeah, I'll do that at some point. I'll arrange that. Anyway, lovely to see you guys. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye for now.
Bye.